Today we're going to be covering Avengers No Surrender 3 through 5. When we last left off, the Avengers mansion had been destroyed and the Earth had been stolen out of space to allow the Challenger and the Grand Master to have their own giant game involving game pieces. It's time to learn a little bit more about this entire thing as we go into issues 3 through 5. As the building begins to burn to nothing, Proxima says that in the tick of a second, the Avengers are no more. She assumed that this would be thrilling, not anticlimactic. Black Dwarf says so much for the playing field defenses, but are they really dead? And Supergiant says, without a doubt. A telepathic sweep of the area reveals no signs of life. Meanwhile, at another location, Valerie teleports the entire room of the Avengers to the auxiliary Avengers headquarters, and Valerie falls to her knees. Wanda asks if she's okay, and she says that she's never moved such a large group before. She's going to be fine, but she needs a minute to recharge. Quicksilver shouts that the Black Order struck against them. Now it's time for them to strike back. They cannot afford a moment's hesitation. Sam tells them that they are miles away now and Valerie needs to recharge. So unless he plans on bringing everyone back to Manhattan one by one, Roberto then says that Sam is right. As much as they want to attack, they need a few minutes to strategize. Elsewhere in the cosmos, a man recites a saying. For when the great scorer comes to write against your name, he writes, not that you've won or lost, but how you played the game. Grandmaster then gets up from the game table, continuing to state that he shall miss the people of Earth. In some way, they almost understand. Another voice then scoffs, telling them, they understand nothing. Even I understand nothing. Come, let us begin our game. The Grandmaster steps up before 5 pyramid-like objects and says, fine, Challenger, each to his element. The Grandmaster reaches out grabbing one of the pyramids and says, I have chosen Earth. And the Challenger reaches out grabbing fire, stating, a weakling to the end. Back at the Avengers Auxiliary headquarters, Tony speaks to Beast to inform him that they still don't have comms, but her people at AIM are going to be dropping off supplies soon. If they can use the fiber optics and hack the TV towers, they should have something working. As she says that, though, a siren goes off and it tells Beast that there's a global alert. She's gonna have to keep in touch. Roberto covers his ears, shouting, we already know that we're in a global crisis. And Tony says that it's not regarding that. This is something new. 10 minutes ago, something crashed down in the Rome Coliseum and Peru. Both locations are suffering from rapid environmental effects with a side order of alien invaders. Roberto then says that they should organize 2 teams and 1 reserve unit. With Valerie, they can attack both fronts and still keep members as backup. Sam calls out, all right, he'll lead a squad to Peru. Given the surrounding area, he's gonna take Torch, Red Hulk, Synapse, and Wonder Man. Rogue then says that she'll take Rome. She'll need to take some heavy hitters, so she's gonna take Thor, Hercules, Lightning, and finally, Cannonball. Quicksilver looks around and asks, Cannonball? A heavy hitter. Why am I being left behind? Rogue tells him that it's pretty simple. She needs to know that she can count on these people. She can't count on him. Quicksilver turns to leave, and as Synapse calls out to him, Quicksilver says, just don't. I don't want any pity. Valerie then takes Rogue's group to Rome, where the Lethal Legion is already making an attempt at claiming the object that has fallen to Earth. Once it's done, Valerie returns to headquarters to bring Sam and his team right to the middle of the fight between the Black Order and the Lethal Legion. But a short while later, while Dr. Voodoo and Scarlet Witch try to figure out if they can use their magic to revert the Avengers who have been placed into stasis, Quicksilver's brooding. He says that he can't just sit here and do nothing while the others run around the globe fighting. It's shameful. Wanda tells him that they all have their roles to play. Rogue made it clear that she can't trust him, so she suggests that he follows orders to try and win back that respect. But Quicksilver doesn't respond and ends up running past her to the outside. He runs out through the city and the ocean, thinking after years of loyalty, it's all been wiped away by one mistake. A mistake that, yes, nearly cost Synapse her life, but it weighs on him every single day. And just as he arrives in Rome, he sees the Lethal Legion has already made short work of Rogue and her team. He quickly slams the psychic user Manticle to the ground, and then he moves to the Metal Master. But also, at this time, back in the HQ, Scarlet Witch is focusing her magic, and then Vision wakes. And Quicksilver stops. The Blood Brothers laugh, stating that it looks like the Zipster has run out of zip, and they begin to beat on Quicksilver. Seeing what happened to Quicksilver, Hercules shouts, rest assured, we will avenge him. As Jane gets up, she calls for her hammer, Mjolnir. But the Metal Master asks, you named your hammer? How amusing. As she reaches for it, Metal Master pulls it away from her and sends it rocketing back towards Rogue. Cannonball yells, "I got this!" and then there's a loud boom! Mjolnir shoots by, cracking Cannonball in the head, and Manticle grabs onto Hercules' mind. While everyone is trying to recover, one of the Blood Brothers grabs Quicksilver and begins to crush his head. But just then there's a loud explosion going off, throwing the Blood Brothers to the side, and Black Swan and Black Dwarf fly down. Swan says, "So easily distracted." Metal Master takes Mjolnir and aims it right towards Swan. And then there's a thundering crack as the hammer hits Swan's shield, and she says that this is sad. She had hoped that they would be worthy. With Metal Master focusing forward, Supergiant phases through him, rendering him useless. Dwarf then takes a swing at Jane, yelling, "Let the Black Order show you how the game is played." Rogue shouts, "Game? All of this pain and destruction for a game? Who the hell is behind this?" Meanwhile, over in Peru, Sam calls out to Synapse, asking if she can get a read on any of the villains here. She does a quick scan, but as she tries, she's mentally shocked and says that these 3 new people here are the new Lethal Legion. Their names are Captain Glory, Drawl, and Farine. Don't ask her any more than that, please. The one thing that she did see is that they're fighting over some alien artifact. Johnny yells, asking, "Are they ready to throw down now?" And Sam tells him that he needs to slow his roll. These guys haven't noticed them yet, so they should just let them take each other out. And Wonder Man then yells, "Avengers, observe!" Back in room, Voyager teleports Rogue, asking what happened here. Rogue tells her that she needs to take Quicksilver and Cannonball back to the base. Voyager picks up Quicksilver's frozen body and says that she is running on fumes here. If she leaves, she may not be able to take it back, and Rogue says that Quicksilver can't wait. So that's just how it's gonna have to be. The rest of them will be fine, she hopes. Back at the base, Vision begins to speak to Wanda, and that's when they hear a sound and see Voyager teleport in holding Quicksilver. Vision looks over asking, "Who is that?" And that's when his body is placed back into stasis and Quicksilver begins to groan in pain. Wanda says, "Oh no. We did this." Over in Rome, the fight between the 3 groups rages on, with Swan stating that she shall shield the Black Dwarf, and this will allow him to take the pyramid, if he dares. Dwarf lets out a loud laugh, asking, "You think I won't make sacrifices? Just keep the others busy while I show you." Dwarf charges to the center of the Colosseum, where the pyramid is, and as it's surrounded by a whirlwind of rocks and boulders, he reaches out through it all and he touches the pyramid, and that's when there's a blinding light and he screams out in pain. Dwarf and the pyramid both fade away, and a large 1 appears in the sky. Swan says the first point goes to them. "Supergiant, we are done here." While the members of the Black Order teleport away, Jane shouts they have to go after them, but Rogue says they have to wait. They were going to grab that thing before Black Dwarf did. It completely disintegrated him. What's going to happen when the team in Peru tries the same thing? Without a second to spare, Miguel flies into the air, shouting that he'll be able to get there the fastest. Let's hope it's fast enough. Back in Peru, while the Black Order engages the Lethal Legion, Red Hulk Robert Maverick runs in, throwing Corvus to the ground just before killing Farine. The rest of the team follows behind him to take on the 2 teams, but in the middle of it, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, sees the pyramid floating in the sky surrounded by fire. He begins to rocket off towards it, and Robert says, "Oh, now I get it. We have to grab the doohickey thing. Might as well be me. So Hulk it away!" As Robert jumps up to try and grab it, Miguel gets closer to everyone, screaming for everyone not to touch the pyramid. But it's too late as Johnny Storm's hand reaches out, grabbing the pyramid. At this time, back in the cosmos, Grandmaster watches as Johnny grabs the next pyramid, and he sighs. Challenger, who is also watching, grinds his teeth in rage, and Grandmaster says that they may have to consult the rulebook on this one. There has been a development. Back in Peru, Johnny's body begins to disintegrate, just as Black Dwarf's did, and Captain Glory salutes him, telling him, "Well fought." Just as Sam asks what does he mean, Farine says that this was an unexpected outcome. It seems the point goes to the humans. Wonder Man asks, "Point? What are you even talking about?" And Corvus tells Proxima that it is time for them to leave and regroup. And Proxima says, "Just look at the humans. We could end them while they ponder their fleeting mortality." But as both the Black Order and Lethal Legion leave, Synapse says that she thinks that thing just killed Johnny. We have to follow them for Johnny. Sam yells no, they need to make sure the people are safe. That's what they do. And Simon says that he's on it. Robert begins to tell Miguel that he didn't know, but Miguel says don't. We saw it do the same thing to the Black Dwarf in Rome. I just wasn't fast enough. As Sam lands beside them, he starts to state that he knows this hurts, but Miguel stops him, telling him Johnny and Rogue were close. I need to head back and let her know. Sam tries to stop him, telling him that he doesn't have to do this alone, but Miguel changes into his lightning form and tells him, I wasn't asking for permission. Also at this time, back in Manhattan, Nadia is looking over Jarvis and mentions that it could be possible, with everything that they've seen in the scans that Jarvis has been exposed to over the years of cheating the Avengers from whatever they had. He could have contracted toxins or some kind of weird radiation. Beast tells her that what they seem to be detecting is an Avengers fever. Nadia hugs Beast, asking, what happens if it doesn't break? Back in Rome, Rogue and her team finish rescuing the civilians that they can, and Rogue says that they need to stop playing defense against these creeps. Jane tells her agreed, these villains must be stopped. Let them gather their allies, and Rogue stops her, asking, and what, have another board meeting? Roberto, Sam, and me have been trying to lead this team and save the world, but it isn't working. I'm not much of a leader. I've always gone with my gut, and my gut is stating that we need to go now and kick these galactic, but that's when they hear a thundering crack-ow as lightning strikes. Miguel walks up, telling her, it's all my fault. I tried, but he grabbed it. Rogue asks who, and Miguel tells her, the torch. He's gone. Over in the cosmic game room, Challenger says, it's almost funny. I had an opportunity to even the score. Instead, I let the obstacles get in the way. Grandmaster tells him that if he wanted an easy game, he would have picked easy terrain. Instead, he wanted a place that created more of a challenge, the Avengers Earth. The world that tamed the Phoenix, that bested the mad Thanos, that altered the mighty Galactus' very nature. This is the ultimate contest. Now, being called the Challenger, don't tell me that you're afraid of the challenge. Challenger grinds his teeth and he walks up, grabbing Grandmaster by the throat, telling him, I am the Challenger because you stole my name. You! We were friends once, survivors of the first sentient race, inheritors of the power primordial. We were the Elders. But while the other Elders focused on their immortality, the two of us chose to play games. But as each of us chose our names, I picked Grandmaster. But you wanted that title. There can only be one Grandmaster, so we played a game for the title where the loser was banished, removed from existence, a place where there was no time or space, and all I could do was wait in the darkness. I wanted everything to die, and one day, everything did, and that's when I made my journey back. I came back to challenge you to a rematch. As the Challenger holds Grandmaster up, Grandmaster tells him, indeed, but the rules apply. There are penalties for cheating. Twisting off my head would count as cheating, wouldn't it? Challenger throws Grandmaster to the ground, telling him, the head will stay on, only because I'm winning. Grandmaster then says, now that the first round is over, let us pick up our elements. The Challenger reaches out, grabbing the yellow pyramid, and says, I will take air, and that will leave you with water. Grandmaster reaches out, grabbing the blue pyramid, telling him, not water, ice. As the Grandmaster gets up, he goes on stating, keep in mind, you're one player short, and the Challenger begins to laugh. Oh, my dear friend, you have grown old. I was never short a player. I have one in reserve, a very special ace in the hole, one who understands rage. Over in the ruins in Arizona, something calls out for help, and there's a faint flicker of green light. Green glow. What do you think it is? Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you want spoilers, go read the comments, because I guarantee you, people down there are telling you exactly what that green glow is. And if you want to just not be spoiled, wait until next Thursday when we'll be bringing you the next set of issues for Avengers No Surrender. I'll see you guys next time right here at Comicstorian.